This is actually an intimate environment. I'm actually changing my whole approach tonight, albeit I'm going to try to stay cognizant that you're reporting, so I do know that other members will hopefully at a later time take advantage of seeing some of our sharings and hearing some of our stuff. But let me focus predominantly on those of you who took the time to join us, so I appreciate it. As a quick re-intro, Bob Fager. I've had the pleasure of being Hawthorne police officer since 1990. I've been the chief since 2010, and it's actually been a prideful opportunity to lead a department which I will selfishly echo. I think is stand up as one of the best that you'll find in LA and any metropolis, let alone Los Angeles County. Your community here, I always love to come and see. Predominantly because you represent, I think, a template of what we hope many other HOAs, community groups, and neighborhoods in our city should emulate. And that is a good group of people who come together, who kind of have common goals for betterment, for a safe environment, for cooperative living together. You care about your properties, you care about bettering them, and through obviously the great work of your leadership in your own HOA environment, you have a beautiful nature in working with the city, working even with my own department to make things better. And that's so refreshing. And I think it really reflects on what this community is when you drive through the gates. This is exactly where you'd like to come home to. So God bless you for that. And obviously the men and women that work for the police department, our goal is to keep that standard where you deserve it. When I come to these meetings, there's a few key areas I want to hit on. Little introduction to who we are. I never presume everybody knows the police department and its services. I bring quality men and women who actually do the work. That's by purpose and design, because it gets old just to listen to me say it. I'd rather have you hear it from a few different perspectives. And then really, to me, the meat and potatoes is what is on your mind. What can I make about tonight better so that you all walk away feeling more empowered, more pride for where you live, and obviously more value in what the police department is for you. So let me roll here because it's a busy night for all of you. Your police department, City of Hawthorne, you got to remember, you're here in this great side of the community, but the City of Hawthorne is about 6 square miles, and it's predominantly on the east side of the 405 freeway here. So we handle a pretty large area in a very busy area. Let me use that in quotes of city calls for services. So we take calls for service, and our city goes all the way really to the Van Ness border. We go north to Imperial Highway. We go south to basically Marine. We have, as you know, the city, about 90,000 packed in here. That's census-based type numbers. Daily population much higher. Your police department right now is budgeted for 96 sworn officers. A sworn officer is a police officer. And then on top of that, we have another 60 plus civilian staff that support police business. I say budgeted because that's fortunately where we can navigate our department services at based on the fiscal budget at hand. There's a whole secondary category we'll talk about later that will paint a different picture of some of those challenges for us, but I'll separate those for now. Full service police department and then some. So you have everything you would think of. You have your patrol services, the 911, come help me, write a report, X, Y, and Z. We have investigative services to come investigate everything from petty thefts all the way up to homicides. And then we have a myriad of specialist assignments. We have traffic bureau, we have canine, we have community affairs units. We're blessed to have our own helicopter, which is rare for any agency unless you're a big 4-letter acronym with 10,000 people. So that's something unique for us in what we can deliver. And then all the specialty units that might go along with some of the stuff like SWAT and youth engagement mentors. The people back here that I brought represent each of those bureaus, and I'll defer to a couple of their leaders here shortly. I have 2 captains that run essentially each half of the police department. but with their own tenure and capabilities, they manage the men and women who really come out and do and make the difference to you. So I'll leave that for you. As a jump start to a couple of things. Crime. Put a big smile on your face. There's next to no crime here in your community. Be blessed in that. I'm not going to say it's impossible, and I'm certainly not going to say that incidents haven't happened, but in reported crime, to what we act on, you are by far the anomaly, probably in society, but certainly in the city of Hawthorne. So take great pride in that. A lot of reasons go into that, but I always underline the first ones. It's quality people who watch each other, know who belongs, who doesn't belong, and if you see something, you say something. That's the best prevention there is. We can only do so much with daily staff. We can react a lot, but as you know, that's usually after the fact. And you are the keys to making your own community safe and keeping it where it deservedly should be. We have a great website, HawthornePolice.com. I encourage you to remember that, to take a few minutes one evening, HawthornePolice.com. You're going to find that we offer some innovative programs and services like literally no other police department you're going to find. You're going to see that programs that have been instituted by our department are internationally recognized. That's the type of quality that actually lives under our roof. And also on there, on the website, are going to be areas that help you maybe with common needs, questions, services, and crime stats. So if you don't want to just take my word for it, go to the crime stat category. The city is broken down into geographic regions. You'll find your own specific 360 community up there to peruse. But enough of me. Let me move so that you don't start getting bored. I'd like to start by going with my operations commander. So Captain Julian Catano oversees the services of the police department that basically deal with the field personnel that come out, protect your community, hopefully not have to, but in case they need to investigate something after the fact. And he can give you just a little quick snapshot of some of his offerings. So Captain Julian.
Good evening. I'll make it short. I've been here since '93. Grew up in the city of Hawthorne, so I've had a blessed opportunity to work in the city that I grew up in. We have personnel from the operations division here. Our department is split in two, basically administration and operations. And operations is everything that you see, all the enforcement. So traffic bureau, patrol bureau, detectives, all the enforcement part is in their operations. And then we have the administrative side, which my partner Mike Ishii heads now. We just switched. That's been a few years in admin and now switched over to operations. So we have some of the personnel here that work in that area and that will really be responding to the calls for service here. As a matter of fact, the big incident that happened here today, he's shy. I won't point him out too much, but he's one of the motorists back there that was at the crux of the incident that happened with the shooting here in town this year. That's Anthony Barlow back there. His sergeant, Raul Espinosa, is sitting right next to him. He's in charge of our traffic bureau. My partner, Captain Ishii, is there. He's the administrative captain. And Shelly Yoshida, one of our officers that works in this area, as well as Joe Yudioji. And we have our fine CA unit, which is Sergeant Chris Cognac. Lieutenant Williams, recently assigned out there, and their canine partner, their Scotty. And then we also have Lieutenant Royer from the detective, the investigative side is here. I'm sure there'll be questions later in each one of these areas. That's when we bring a group of different expertise here. If you have some individual questions, we'll have some time for that later. We also brought our community trailer, which is an addition that the chief will probably talk about. And we have a parking the other side of the pool that we'd love for you guys to come out and take a look at that after we're done. Thank you.
That's a great segue into my next introduction. So Captain Mike Ishii, as previously mentioned, oversees our administrative services area, but he's also overseeing our community affairs unit. So I'd like him to share a little bit on some of the mindset and innovative ideas that goes into community affairs, cover the community trailer, and then give you a nice snapshot of what that side of the house does.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mike.
Hi. So a couple things. I'll cover the community affairs. One is the trailer. So we have the community trailer out there. We've actually met more of a community out there than in here. They've walked by with their dogs, and it's been great that they've been meeting them. The main goal for that is, rather than having you come to the police station for anything, we wanted to bring the police station to you. Right? So our goal was to have the community trailer to go out to different parts of our community, where sometimes maybe you won't see us as often as you'd like. And we're going to set up shop there and work out of your community for a day and have our patrol officers come by, meet everybody as we are here today, and hit different parts of our community so that we can better know the neighborhood as we sit there and meet people as we are today, but also the neighborhood and the community members meet us. So it's just another way of us doing our best to build trust and have a great relationship with our community. So after this is over, we hope you come by and at least say hello and take a look at it. And then just know that that's, we're going to go different parts of the area of our community. The administrative side of things are very boring, so I won't go. I signed a lot of things, and that's about it. But obviously, we have our traffic bureau. That's always a big question. The tip is, if you go to Costco, Rosecrans and Isis, do not stop, please, before you make the right turn onto Rosecrans from Isis, or else we have the red light camera there, and it's snagged a lot of people. So don't do that one.
Now you tell me.
Yes. I just, so the admin side is very boring, so I won't go over that, but I'd like to just take a couple minutes to talk about the big incident that we had here. How long ago now? A couple of months? June?
Yeah.
Is everybody aware of it? I hope?
Yep.
Big enough. So you go, in our stat sheet, when you go look, it says no crime, no crime, no crime, attempted murder. So when you see that, don't worry, it's not anybody in here. It was the incident. All right, so that's what that is. But what I wanted to share with you, and I think the chief shared it last time, is we met with the LAPD officers and the detectives that were a part of that. That was their incident, right? They just happened to come in our city, and they just happened to hop the wall and come in here. So we met with them, and this group, this unit, is a elite unit. This is their SIS unit, their Special Investigations unit, and they are in a world that we go to them for a lot of things, right? This is their awesome unit that catches real bad people, right? So this is their unit. But when we went and did a debrief with them back at LAPD at their air unit, their headquarters. By the way, did you see the helicopter flying over?
Yeah.
Pretty low. That's not how they normally fly. That was pretty low. Right? They were coming down. If there were some trees, I think they would have sawed off a few of the treetops. But the overwhelming response that we received from them was how well they were treated by all of you. And they don't get that anywhere. This was like their first time ever in their 30 years of down and dirty police work, where, you know, all the things that you hear about police work, all they could talk about was how well they were treated by all of you. And to the point where they actually came to our police station as a group. Now this is the veterans of LA, this is like the veterans, the grizzly guys that, you know, they won't even acknowledge you as you go by. They actually came by to our station as a group to present the police department and really to the community their appreciation and thanks for the tremendous work that not only we were able to participate in, our officer who was involved in shooting participated in, but really about the community, all of you, to show the support of law enforcement. Those little things go a long way in this day and age, especially in our line of work. I have many men and women out there working that see this day to day. We have sometimes it pains us to have them do all the things that they have to do in this day and age with law enforcement and all the negative media and all the things we hear. But those little things that a community provides, like thank you, all the support, those things go a long way, and it means a lot, and it keeps everybody motivated to do awesome work. So I wanted to share that with you because they shared it with us and they definitely wanted to share it with you. They didn't have the opportunity to do it, but this was the perfect time to do that. So thank you on behalf of all of us for showing the support. And if it were to happen anywhere, we were glad it happened here. Maybe not you guys, but we were glad it happened here and nobody was hurt. We patched up a few holes and we were able to walk away and the bad guys in jail and everybody's okay. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
So a couple of quick insights from men who have spent a lot of years here in Hawthorne doing police work and helping get our department to where it is here today. So a couple of things I ask of you here just before I kick off time, really trust and value. So just tuck those away, trust. You're in a great community here. So what I would do is hope you trust that the focus of our police department is to deliver in this day and age the best public safety that it can. We're constricted a lot in a variety of ways. Some of them pretty obvious and other ways not so obvious. But really, the support of our citizenry is what makes it work. So this annual visit, this annual effort for us to come and visit you specifically and bring the quality people is a way that I find a trust-building avenue so that you can relate to who it is that polices your community so that, and it always comes, when that day comes and police work brings the ugly head, just like the captain was speaking of, you as residents can sit back and say, yeah, but I get it, because I know those men and women and I know how they're made. So that's a big part to me. And then the bottom line is value. You've got to get value out of what your public safety expectations are. And certainly having my boss here tonight, the city manager, very fortunate of you to have him here. The value that I can tell you selfishly that you have as residents to have a man who sits at the helm of the city, protecting the coffers and looking for the long term to support departments like the police department is immeasurable. So thank you, at least on behalf of the city department heads and such. So let's get to it. Let's get to anything that might be on your mind that maybe you could represent, even if you want to ask questions based on other topics or maybe people who are not here. Certainly, Colonel, if you got anything that you want to chime in with. But I want to maximize either time now to communicate with you, and if not, know that we will be here personally following this opportunity. Come visit the trailer. Maybe you have questions that aren't so public, and that's fine to us. Remember, I have representatives from a variety of auspices here, so there's probably nothing you could ask or need that I can't direct you to the best person. So that's it. Yes, sir.
What's the latest with the homeless colony over our wall?
Well, okay, so I'm glad you qualified it at the end with over our wall. Because if you're going to ask me about the homeless problem or plight,
Those that are immediate consequences.
yeah. So the issue we contend with in your geographical area is you're bordered by property that is not Hawthorne property. So the freeway, the railroad tracks are all the auspices of the state or the rail companies. So it's very easy to believe, hey, you're all public sectors, can't you go handle it? No, we can't, and that's the problem. So what ends up happening is it almost just becomes a kick the can down the road game. So we'll go address the homeless, quite often taking the volition to go do it on properties that we know are not our own, because if we don't do it, proverbially, really nobody will. But it's a Band-Aid, and I'll be the first to tell you that. It's a Band-Aid, because all we can do in most contexts is just work with what the law allows us to do. Cooperative displacement, if we do have, and I should make this known to you, we work well with our city attorney's office in trying to build around lawful means to deal with homeless and transients under the color of the law while respecting their rights. And I have to underline this for everybody, it's not a crime to be homeless. So you're calling the police department to address something of a non-police nature, and that's always precarious. So The city attorney's office and ourselves work well. We have different tools in our toolbox to address them. But one thing I do want you to understand is we just have to address it as the need arises and re-arises, because the homeless and transients themselves know our limits. They know who polices and controls what properties, and they play the circuit game. You can come back. Yes,
So what organization is responsible for policing on the other side of the game, or the other side of the fence over there?
well, policing is our auspice.
Okay.
But if you're talking about a non-police matter like nuisance, trespassing, blight, then that's your property owner. And so the state is the property owner of the freeways, and the rail companies are the property owners of the rails. You transcend with some crime, we can work at a different level, but there's a vast recognized difference between a crime and the plight of homeless, and nobody wants to touch that. And so that's in fairness to them. And you're not alone. This isn't going to make you feel any better, but you're not alone. One of the benefits of Hawthorne, certainly in its viability and marketability, is its location. You know, South Bay, freeway centric, 105, 405. Well, when you're talking homeless, those are factors now that work against us. Don't think you're alone. The 105, all our properties that run it butt to the 105 or the Inglewood, Lennox areas there make your occasional issue look like nothing. So we have to work collaboratively.
Chief?
I did notice, so you know where Flights is at?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and good bar. But that parking lot, Notre did a lot to clean it up, because they used to have like raves up there and so forth, and now there's bright lights. But there are a lot of people living in their cars in that
Yes.
parking lot.
Yes.
Lots. And also, you know, Winnebagos, like big trashy Winnebagos that are parked there. If you ever go there at like 7 o'clock in the morning, they're everywhere. There's like 4 to 6 cars, 2 Winnebagos.
Yes.
And when you go over there, whether it's to the laundromat or the dry cleaners, you get approached. You have Burger King and knocking on your window. And, you know, again, I've told Olivia Valentine about that as well. And, but anyways, I just thought I'd throw that out.
That's not unknown to us. There are civic ordinances that allow us to kind of contend with some of those specific issues, like sleeping in a vehicle or things like that. So I would tell you, and any of you, if you come across those instances, call our non-emergent line. We'll come out and address it. I know the owner of that property very well. I know he contends with it daily. But unfortunately, it's really the new, dare I say, the new norm. Because we have 4 other shopping centers that come to mind in just in our city that do that. And I also know, if you haven't seen it, there's areas of the unincorporated county that abut our city here in this region. And you can drive literally a quarter of a mile down the street and see nothing but motorhome after motorhome and campsite. So we're working as best we can, but you're absolutely right.
Chief, related to the homeless and other type situations, is it true that you've recently added, I'll call it a mental health, a mental services officer to the sworn staff?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So, two-pronged approach. Let me start with just how does the city address homeless. We've actually partnered with our code enforcement team out of City Hall side, and really kind of made a collaborative unit that can give us some layers of approach, so that code enforcement, who basically looks around the city for violations of civil-based matters, will come across quite often more of these plights than we will. So we start almost in an escalation. And so they'll address them. If it doesn't work, then we will have staff come in to address at a higher threshold, working with the city attorney's office to give them notices to vacate. And quite literally, homeless who have taken up a spot of, so to speak, residency on property that's not even their own, to actually move them, literally comes down to a 3-day vacate notice. You might laugh and think, how did we ever get to this? I can't tell you, but that's where we're at. Now, homeless population, significant number of it mentally ill. And so about 3 years ago, we started a program with the Gardena Police Department whereby we partnered with the Los Angeles County Mental Health Department, and they gave us a mental clinician. And we provided an officer from our agency and an officer from Gardena. So, to the point exactly brought up, weekly, we have a unit that goes out during the work week, and it has an officer and a mental health clinician. And they respond to calls solely based on mental illness factors, follow-up to areas that might involve that type of remedy, and can address homeless situations where that's really the obstacle from getting us any kind of success. So that program there, ironically now, is being replicated across Los Angeles County. I also will tell you that the team that we have that services Hawthorne is the #1 statistical team of contacts and case resolutions in the county. So that gives you a little glimpse of what our city of Hawthorne has to contend with just in that.
So let me bring up an issue within the walls, if you will. So we are a private community with private streets. We have a large young population, 0 to 5, for example. People are very comfortable and secure in terms of walking the streets, walking the sidewalks, and occasionally, too often, we have people that probably go faster than they should in their vehicles. Recent discussions have suggested we should have a speed limit, we should have the Hawthorne police here to cite people, so on and so on. We as a community or as an HOA feel we're really limited because, one, we can see somebody speed by, we can't ever say how fast they went. We do have prerogatives to kind of call people in, but it's limited when you take a look at the burden of proof we would need. What would be your response to the community about erratic, reckless driving that occurs within our gates, if any response?
That can't be a unanimous position, can it? Let me cut a few parts of that question kind of out. You're in a gated community, private community. So we don't come in and enforce vehicle codes in your community. And I say don't, not in the sense that we don't want to. It's actually not a state road. It's not the city auspices to. Could we? Possibly. Possibly. But, so don't think that the lack of seeing Hawthorne police staff in here, perhaps addressing that, is because we've chosen not to come in here. But I'll leave the rest to really kind of a conversation, because I remember this community when it was first starting, and actually we had many discussions at that time, and the formation of the leadership group, the representation body. So it was funny how anything, the problems all start so small, and then they grow. And it's people, right? It's just trying to please people, and rarely can you ever be on the same complete page. There's a difference between improper driving, quote unquote, stupid driving, versus reckless criminal endangerment driving. That we can do anywhere, anytime. But for us to come in here and say, especially with my traffic staff, radar 28 and a 15, I wouldn't advocate that right off the bat. I kind of use that as one of those, if you're going to break glass at the very end and reach to it, possibly. You really want a cooperative partnership here. You really want teeth to your HOA and what you expect from community members here. And I'm an advocate to say, sometimes the best solutions are when you police your own. Because we, as a city, and certainly we as a police department, if we come in here, we're going to bring a whole new layer of, we didn't think of that. And I'll give you an example. It might be a little apples and oranges, but bear with me, because my traffic guys and half the people in the back have all worked traffic. This is what happens. Communities have an issue. neighborhoods have an issue, they get fed up, and then they call and they say, you're not doing anything, come do something. They're speeding, they're running stop signs, they're going like crazy. Just fill in the blank of whatever neighborhood. So what do? We go do it for a day. And who do we end up citing? Everybody who lives there. And then they call me the week after, blowing up that all you did was cite us. And we said, you said attack, get the violators. So that's kind of like my analogy of be careful what you wish for, because everybody has this concept, it's always them, others, and it really isn't. Yes, sir.
Have you ever used in the city these, your speed is, whatever the...
Yes.
Things? I wonder for an educational kind of thing on a campaign here, is it possible for our community to borrow or have those put here? I know it's private versus public, but that might be a good educational tool to put here to remind people if we do that once in a while.
I agree wholeheartedly that there's probably other traffic-based measures that maybe you haven't thought about yet, or maybe can be increased. Those your speed signs, I can give the vendors, I can give all those manufacturer information to your leadership here, and they can research it. I couldn't say, most of ours are fixed, so we can't loan you one per se, and they're purchased on grants to us, but they're solar powered, they work, and that might be a great first step of that answer of, I didn't really know, I know you're speeding, but I didn't really know. You might have a camera linked somewhere ironically to that sign and to that speed, and it starts removing a lot less arguments and counter claims when you start bringing in video.
I'm sure there's residents that will volunteer to monitor
Yeah. Yes.
I have a question for him on the board here, and we've got a section that was built for tots, small
Yes.
play toys and things like that, and once the kids get to about 5 or 6 or 7, then they want to go into some different apparatus. My question is, if they walk 20 or 30 yards down the road here to Delaware Park, can you or the guys out there talk about the crime that's over there or lack of crime, that we could post it as an opportunity for these?
What I can do for you in follow-up is I will talk to the captain of South LA Sheriff Station, who patrols that area, is accountable to that area, and I will have her provide me some type of statistical information that I can give to your leadership, and then you can push it forward.
That is not Hawthorne?
No, sir.
It's not incorporated.
Yeah. It's a little deceiving. There are pockets around us that are Hawthorne by name and zip code, but not the city. So I would tell you by what I think most of the staff would say, it's a relatively safe area. But don't quote me on that. And even if I was to tell you it's a very safe area, we all know anything can happen, right? So, yeah, so I'll get you some data that you can probably push out to your community, and then they can make their own conscious choice.